it's the most horrific scene I've ever encountered. We were out punting, and I'd set off for provisions and returned to find Flick screaming. And I looked down and I saw the body lying bloated by the riverbank. Now, you don't think in a situation like that. You just act. I dived down and began mouth to mouth, furiously, only to be set upon by the family of what transpired to be innocent, rather tubby sunbather. By then, of course, it was too late, and Geoffrey was dead, pulled down by the reeds. Shortly after that I proposed to Flick.
Yes.
Got back from the police station about 6. It would have been about 7.
Don't bend, darling.
I do find it... You might just allow me to bend this once.
Oh. Hopeless.
I'm having a competition, a riding competition, and you know, I hesitate to say I shall do well, but I am quietly confident. The dash thing is that it's on the same day as my birthday,
which of course will result in him being somewhat late for his own birthday party.
That of course won't matter, because I dare say the majority of the guests have not come to see poor old Peter, but to rejoice in dear old Flick. They're like moths round a flame. They love to flock to Flick.
Why don't you go and take in a movie on that afternoon as well, Peter? You know, since your birthday party means so much to you. Coming as I do from a family of huge men, I mean, my father was medically a giant. And, I mean, Geoffrey was also wonderfully large. Which means that Peter falls really rather short. We're looking for a riding outfit for my husband.
Right, just traditional sort of thing?
Ideally something he can grow into.
Do you anticipate much growth? Okay, no, a size larger, perhaps.
Please.
Okay, jodhpurs? Do you want to start with jodhpurs?
Jodhpurs, fine. Do you want to try the jodhpurs, darling? Yes or no?
Yes, please.
Okay, what size are you, sir?
I'm a 32-inch waist.
All right, well, let's try him in a 38.
I think 38's probably be a bit much, isn't it? I mean, if you want to try him in a size larger, perhaps we could try a 34.
34, darling?
Let's put him in a 36.
36 is fine.
What length leg are you?
Short.
Rather short, yes. Sorry.
Do you want them short, or do you want a longer leg?
A longer leg is fine. We can always fold up and cuff.
36.
36 long.
Long.
Darling.
Do you want to try them
Shall I?
in
Thank you.
the cubicle?
Thank you.
Sorry. If they are
I'm
bit
sure
on the
they'll be
wide
fine.
side.
I adore horses. I was brought up with them. I grew up with horses.
Excellent!
I'm part of a very super class. My instructor, Angela, is very encouraging, very kindly lady.
Down, push on. Legs, legs, legs. Better, heels down.
Well, this is our pet cemetery, which has been in the family for centuries. And it's within our grounds, obviously. That one, of course, was our Chin-Chin, absolutely wonderful childhood pet, peacock, huge bright cock, gloriously colourful, majestic thing. Sadly, he died, and I was left with a rather drab little peahen, which I do feel has set something of a pattern. This, of course, is Geoffrey's plot, and I like to come out here just to spend some quality time with him. I mean, I always knew with Geoffrey that he was very much the one, but I think what really clinched it for me was that first kiss. Had these wonderfully large, very red lips, quite bulbous, I think one would almost say, and a particularly big tongue. I mean, he was medically a giant, and I'll never forget how it used to probe into my mouth and really search my mouth. You know, one would feel that it was actually quite forceful.
Well, I mean, Geoffrey really was rather good at everything that he did. I mean, that was the thing about him, is that he was an achiever, and he was captain at all sorts of sports. And I suppose kissing was no different. I mean, I never experienced the kiss myself. Flick! Oh, dear. The vaginismus. Sometimes when the muscles contract, Flick will get depleted. The blood sugar will go down. It's a form of diabetes, isn't it, darling? It's all right. There, come on, I've got you.
Today. Please don't
Come on,
pour me,
it's all right,
darling.
it's all right.
Please don't pour me, darling. Thank you.
I mean, he was originally buried near Lake Windermere at the wish of his parents.
Which I thought was really rather selfish, but shortly afterwards we began legal proceedings and had his body exhumed and brought back here.
He's actually buried straight down into the ground, like that, wearing his riding outfit, perfectly erect.
How I like to remember him. I think when one truly loves somebody, to let go of them would be wrong. And if you think about my condition as well, on top of all that, if you couple the grief with a very, very tight, there's not much room for Peter. I shall be buried next to Geoffrey. I shall be curved around him, very much like a banana, which was one of our very favourite positions, Geoffrey
Then I
and
shall be
myself.
just the
we
other
had
side,
a certain language really between
just
us.
fitting in
language of love.
before
Darling,
the
I'm talking.
perimeter fence.
And Peter, as we have discussed,
Or I shall be able
Peter,
to
as
just
we
reach
have
out.
discussed, will be down there between Sergeant Potter and Rachel.
Sergeant Potter was my
We have
guinea
talked
pig.
about it.
Quite fitting for me because I'm, of course, something of a pig and not worth a guinea.
Why don't you go down, Peter, and try out the plot?
But in all seriousness, I shall rest with
Peter, why don't you go down and try out the plot?
with Flick and with
Peter!
I think it's abundantly clear that I'm not entirely right. But as they've all told me, there's no reason that I can't, really make a crack at life. Because I have so many positive things in my life. Flick, the house, the job, Helen the dog, Nana. But why should something like that, affect me? And it doesn't. It's only really in quiet moments when I'm on my own, or perhaps in company, that it might rear its ugly head.